Chomsky, what would your recommendation be for corporations? Just should they be eliminated, or is there a trend towards changing them, adapting them to the democratic ideals?
Well, my feeling about corporations is very much like my feeling about Bolshevism and fascism, to which they resemble. In a short-term period, you want to reform them. Okay, so if you're living under, say, the rule of a king, you know, it makes sense to plead with the king to act more kindly to his subjects. You know, and that's always good. You know, so don't torture as many people, and give more gifts to poor people, and so on. And that makes good sense. When the population of the United States by 20-to-1 says that corporations ought to sacrifice profits for communities and workers, that 95% majority is saying the king ought to be more benevolent, not so harsh. And that's good. I agree with that. The king ought to be more benevolent. But of course, you can go a little further and say, is the institution legitimate at all? And I don't think it is, for the reasons I discussed, so therefore it ought to be dismantled. And workers ought to be the masters of their own industrial fate. Now, it's kind of an interesting commentary on the way the propaganda system, the doctrinal system has functioned, that ideas that were standard among mill hands in Lowell 100 years ago sound unimaginable today. I mean, they were saying, look, the institution's illegitimate. It's infringing on our rights as free men and women. They were not asking the autocracy to be more benevolent. They were saying it should disappear because we want to enjoy the rights that we won in the American Revolution, or so they thought. Nowadays, that's almost unthinkable. And the most that can be asked for is that the absolutism be more benevolent, that the king act a little more nicely. Well, that's a tremendous victory of a propaganda system in which educated sectors have played the leading role, after all. We should remember that. We're talking about ourselves. And it has it's been extremely hard. For 180 years now, there has been an effort to drive out of people's heads normal, ordinary human sentiments and to make them think just for themselves. You want things just for yourself, instill the new spirit of the age, gain wealth, forgetting all but self. You have no rights other than what you can get on the market, with, of course, that big footnote that the rich and the powerful insist on massive protection from the nanny state in extreme forms under, say, Reagan and Gingrich, but always. And it's been a very hard battle to get that across. But it's, over time, it has worked. So now people don't even think about being free.